Once again, good evening, everyone, and we invite you to continue with your dessert, but now it's time that we get the ceremony underway. And let's begin by showing our appreciation and thanks to Sodexo, who was responsible for preparing the delicious meal that we all enjoyed, and the staff that gave up their Friday night to take care of us. Before we begin with the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, there are a couple of longtime USI athletic volunteers that are going to be recognized and honored here tonight. And for that, please allow me to introduce to you the Sports Information Director here at the University of Southern Indiana, Ray Simmons.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our first inductee and the Hall of Distinction inductee is Mr. Dave King. I met Dave in 1989, and he was already a part of my first scores table here at USI. Dave was the anchor man of a four-team crew that included John Emhoff, Don Powers, Jim Schaefer. He was the shot clock operator. And slowly, we finally figured out that everything kind of revolved around Dave, because he was the only guy that was always there on time early, and he was always the one who left early because the shot clock would always get turned off in the last minute. During his tenure at USI, he was there for probably close to 40 years, so that his start date predates me. But he became a staple in the Evansville community as far as a shot clock operator. I mean, the amount of concentration that he had to put forth on those games just always amazed me, because he said he could actually watch the game and still sit there and click the buttons all the time. But he became a staple not only at USI, but at the GLVC tournaments and then at the national championships that we hosted both at Roberts Stadium and at the Ford Center. If you talk to Rodney Watson, our former basketball coach, he will tell you flat out that Dave King is the best shot clock operator he ever came across. And as far as I'm concerned, Dave was always the man you could go to for advice. He was also the best person on our budget because he only worked for tickets and never used them. So at this time, I would like to recognize Dave with the Hall of Distinction for his 30, almost 40 years of service by inviting his family to come up to the podium to receive the award. At this time, for our next Hall of Fame or Hall of Distinction inductee, I'll introduce John Mark Hall, our athletic director.
Thank you, Ray, and I want to thank everyone for being here this evening. Just a little bit more background on our Hall of Distinction. Many years ago, when we started the Hall of Fame, we were trying to find a way to recognize individuals who made an unbelievable contribution to USI athletics, but they weren't a coach, or they weren't an athletic administrator, or they weren't a student athlete like we have here tonight, or involved with the team. So, Dave King is one of the reasons we set the Hall of Distinction up, right? A person like Dave who's spent countless hours that he gave to USI for tickets, right? He didn't even use or really even accept the tickets, but Dave's, bled red, white, and blue, and still does. He couldn't be with us here tonight, so we appreciate his family being here. But we have some Hall of Distinction members that who've been in the Hall of Distinction here with us tonight. Sandy Hatfield, Ray Wright, who passed just recently, son Mark is here tonight. Do we have anybody else? I think that may, but again, individuals like that who made us who we are today, right? And we wouldn't be at this high Division I level if it weren't for people like them. Not only the student athletes, the coaches, and the teams we have here tonight, but people like them. And our next inductee to the Hall of Distinction, they, again, epitomize why we started it, right? Ray and Cindy Bippus. And I was going to write some notes down. I thought, you know what, kind of like I maybe did when Sandy was inducted, I just want to, kind of talk about them, if that's okay. But when I got here in 1995, and it wasn't something that I started by any stretch of the imagination, but Steve Newton, our AD, and I, we inherited a culture of hospitality, right? It's not something that we started. It was already here when we got here. And I think Coach Newton, as I call him, and I, we were amazed by that hospitality. And we were treating visitors and teams and people to our campus like they were our own, right? And we still do that today. Sometimes our coaches don't really want us to do that because we don't get treated that way when we're somewhere else. Right, Eric, Rick, Stan, Matt, I'm joking. So, no, they want us to do that too. But we treat our visitors and our guests the way, we would want to be treated on the road. And Ray and Cindy Bippus helped develop that culture of hospitality. And again, I think it was my first year. I don't think it was my first year. We hosted in 1996 the NCAA men's basketball regional. Stan was on that team. And again, didn't realize, but we had 7 institutions coming to Evansville, and we were supposed to have hosts for those 7 teams, right? And again, news to me, right? But people like Ray and Cindy not only would host those teams, they would organize that effort and make sure when those teams and those student athletes and coaches came to our campus, they were taken care of. Where to eat, getting their laundry done, rides to places. I mean, I can go on and on. So I could go on and on about Ray and Cindy, and they've won the Thomas Kearns Service Award from the GOVC because of that hospitality, the work that they did for the Great Lakes Valley Conference. That same work they've done for the NCAA Division II Elite 8 men's championships that have been in town. They've taken their show on the road and volunteered in other places where GOVC championships are taking place because they're that type of people. And they want to make sure when the GOVC or the NCAA or USI has guests to our campus, those people are taken care of. I've never made a phone call to Ray and Cindy Bippus asking to get a group together to volunteer, for them to help, for anything like that, and they've said, no, we can't help you. It's always yes. It's always been yes, and we greatly appreciate that. Again, I can go on and on. I think most everybody in this room knows them, so I'll stop there. But again, very deserving, and we're very honored to have Ray and Cindy Bippus into our Hall of Distinction.
Again, congratulations to Dave King and to Ray and Cindy Bippus. I know that on my years of being associated with USI Athletics, those guys were at every single home game and never missed a game. And as John Mark alluded to, a lot of times even on the road, they were there to help. So very well deserving, and congratulations to you guys and to Dave King. Give him our best. Okay, do we have any former Hall of Fame members? You? You're on there for a team, aren't you, Coach Stein? 2 teams, all right. So welcome back to some past Hall of Fame inductees. All right, our first inductee unfortunately cannot be with us here this evening, but he is certainly one of the top cross-country and both indoor and outdoor track athletes to run for Coach Mike Hilliard and the University of Southern Indiana. His records are just flat staggering. 10 times he was named the GOVC Runner of the Week in his career. He captured 6 GOVC titles over 4 years. 5 times he was named All-American, once in cross country and twice in both the indoor and outdoor track seasons. All-conference all 4 years, both in cross country and in track. All-Midwest region 4 years in both cross country and track. He was the 2012 GLVC Cross Country Runner of the Year. The next year, he was the Midwest Region Outdoor Track Athlete of the Year. And to this day, he still owns the top 3 times in school history in the steeplechase event. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the USI Athletic Hall of Fame, Michael Jordan. Our next inductee was a member of the women's basketball team from 2008 through 2011. She transferred to USI her sophomore year after she completed her freshman season at Southern Illinois in Carbondale, where she was a member of the Missouri Valley Conference all-freshman team. At USI, she arrived with a basketball in her hand and started dropping threes the minute she walked into the gym. In fact, you might say that 3 is her favorite number. She was named to the All-GLVC team all 3 years she played here. Her 150 three-point field goals made is 3rd all-time here. Her three-point attempts also ranks 3rd all-time at USI, and she made nearly 80% of her free throw attempts, which also ranks 3rd in school record books. She played only 3 seasons, had 1,249 points, ranks 8th in program scoring, and she finished with almost 400 rebounds as a shooting guard. I'm not sure what her favorite number is, but her jersey number had a 3 and it was 3-0. She was also named the Division II National Player of the Month in December of 2009. Please welcome our next inductee, Ellen Young. Ellen, you were brought up in Salem, Illinois, played high school basketball there, and then your first year you went to Carbondale, Southern Illinois, and then after that decided to transfer. So in that process of making that decision to leave Carbondale, what were some of the things that you were looking for in your next school?
I was looking for support, a family program, and a winning program.
You know, a lot of times over my career calling basketball games, you know, you had athletes making that transition from Division I to Division II. What was that like for you?
I mean, it was fine. I just wanted to play the game. I came in, I had support, and it wasn't hard playing with a coaching staff that was very supportive, and it was fun, and that's what I wanted.
You know, when I talked to Coach Stein about you a couple of weeks ago, he described you as one of the better athletic guards he's ever coached. And that's saying a lot because in your time here, there were a couple of years, Amy Newhart, Lauren Meneghetti were in that backcourt with you. How did the 3 of you get along?
We got along great. We were just one big family, on and off the court.
And you were able to score in so many ways. But I think the one thing that people remember about you was your pull-up jumper, kind of on the dead run. Set, shoot. So where did you learn that skill? Because that's not easy.
That skill was a skill that I was taught early in my basketball career when I was in junior high by our high school coach. She was always a big proponent of the pull-up jumper. She said not a lot of people did it, and I had the athletic ability to do it, and so she taught it to me young, and it was always my favorite shot.
So how many hours did you spend in the gym outside of practice?
Countless.
Okay. You know, in addition to your scoring, Ellen, you were always around the rim grabbing rebounds. What was your mindset going into the paint against maybe some more physical, taller players and getting as many rebounds as you did?
I was always the toughest kid on the court.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I mean, your work ethic was never questioned. You know, your coaches said that they only had to tell you what to do once, and then you kind of got that. What was kind of your passion for the game? When did that arrive, and how did you kind of sustain that through college?
Well, when I was little, I always had a basketball hoop either in my garage and outside. And if it was sunny outside, I was outside. If it was raining, I was inside. And back in the day when Michael Jordan played, I was going to be the next Michael Jordan. And that's what I said. As I grew up, I had the little Jordan jersey, had the Bulls hat. And I just, from the time I could touch a ball, all I wanted to do was play basketball. And I was always going to be the next Michael Jordan.
Good for you. Well, you scored double digits 42 times. You had a personal high of 30 points against Northern Kentucky. And I remember back in the day, the USI-Northern Kentucky rivalry, as far as on the women's side, was about as big as it is, as big as it was. I mean, that was the games on the schedule. I mean, taking nothing away from the other teams in the GLVC. Do you remember that night that you got 30?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so just expound on that a little bit. I mean, did you feel pretty good, like in warm-ups? Did your first couple of shots go in, and you just told Amy and Lauren, the rest of your teammates, hey, I got this?
I just played the game. So, I mean, if I had the shot, I took it. And I had the support from my coaching staff, my team. I always had the green light. So it was just a matter of just going out and playing and having fun. And when you're having fun, things go well.
In addition to your offense, Ellen, I mean, defensively, you were pretty tenacious. And I think you had over 100 steals in 3 years. So I have to ask you, what gave you more gratification, swishing a three in front of your defender or taking the ball from her?
Well, early on in my basketball career, defense was always going to win ball games. And it didn't matter what my stats said. I was going to go out and I was going to do whatever I had to do so that we would win a game. And so it didn't, I mean, defense is always a pride factor. It's a toughness. It didn't matter. You didn't have to be skilled to play defense. You had to be tough, and you had to have a big heart and wanted to work hard. So it's hard work, but you don't have to be a skilled player to do it. So
that 30-point effort, I would think for you, would be one of your memorable highlights. Can you share maybe a few other either personal or team highlights in your 3 years here?
Making it to the NCAA tournament was a pretty big highlight for us, for me. Also, another thing that I loved was just where we went. We got to go out and play in Disneyland, which was really neat. I mean, something that a lot of people don't get to do. So that was also a big highlight, getting to travel around and see different things and get out there and go somewhere that I had never been there, and it was a neat experience.
Okay, so this is kind of a personal question, but I need to ask it. Do you remember your senior picture in the media guide?
The one like this?
Yeah. I mean, I saw that the other day. Your arms are extended. You're palming a basketball in both hands. Was that legit or was that a Photoshop?
It was legit. I got big hands.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. So can you still palm a basketball?
I can.
Good for you, Ellen. All right. What do you think of the new arena?
Hey, it looks great. Actually, Coach Stein and I were talking about that a little bit ago. I just got into town not too long ago, so I'm going to go over and do a tour tomorrow, but it looks great. I can't wait to see it.
All right. Finally, just after graduation, what'd you do and what are you doing these days?
I graduated. I went back home. I coached back home at the high school level and worked in a community college. From there, I am now in Iowa, right outside of Iowa City. I do have season tickets to the Iowa women's game, and I will go watch Caitlin Clark on Thursday, break that record, if she doesn't do it tomorrow or Sunday. But and I am a financial advisor or a financial manager for our city there, and I coach high school basketball. So
good for you.
And I was married in May to Kevin, who's over there, who has made a lot of trips with me.
Good for you. Well, Ellen, again, congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame. And here to present Ellen is her college coach, Rick Stein.
Thank you.
Our next inductee was a member of the men's soccer program beginning in 2009. He graduated following the 2012 season. He was a defender on those teams, and in college soccer, it's pretty difficult to get your name on the scoring stat sheet. Those are usually reserved for forwards and other frontline players. But it didn't matter to him. His name is still on the top 10 list for goals, assists, and points, where he ranks 6th, 7th, and 8th in those categories more than 10 years after graduating. He was a two-time captain both his junior and senior years and was named both All-Conference and All-Region following his senior year for his performances on the field, and also excelled in the classroom as a two-time All-Academic member. Two of his greatest accomplishments, he averaged more than a point a match in his career, 73 points in 70 matches. And he still owns the school record for assists in a match with 5 against Illinois Springfield his junior year. Please welcome USI men's soccer player Jeffrey McClure. Jeffrey, you played your high school soccer in Indianapolis for Brebeuf Jesuit, also some club soccer. In addition to soccer, basketball, and ran track in high school, successful in all 3 of those sports. So when did you start playing soccer, and who introduced you to the game?
Growing up in Indianapolis, basketball is number one, so that was always my focal point. But I think the shift happened in high school. So I had been playing soccer simultaneously with basketball growing up, but the shift happened in high school. I began playing club soccer, and I just realized that that was probably a better avenue for me.
We'll talk about your recruiting and maybe some of your visits, and then what ultimately led you to make the decision to come and play for Coach Santoro here at USI.
I think it was a very late decision. I think Matt just happened to be at one of the tournaments I was playing in Memphis. I believe it was Memphis. He was recruiting another one of my teammates, and it just happened to be right place at the right time. So that's kind of how I look at just being at USI in general. It was just like the right place at the right time.
So did you come here for a visit?
Yes, I did. I came, I think it was late. It was like May, I believe, or April or May. Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's hard sometimes for parents to see their young adult kids move out of the house and start managing their own lives, especially when they're kind of in their late teenage years. So when you had that discussion with family, hey, I'm moving out and going down to Evansville, what was that like?
I think my mom was ready for me to get
So do you have any issues? I mean, you know, a lot of kids, they go and they kind of get homesick and they're calling all the time and everything else. Did you have any issues when you moved down here, or was it like, hey, I kind of found a new home?
No, I didn't have any issues. It was welcoming right away. It felt like family. You know, I didn't feel homesick, and I mean, it's 3 hours away. You know, it's not bad.
So you scored a goal in your first ever game here at USI. Do you remember that, and what was your reaction when that took place?
I actually don't remember the first goal. I remember all the other ones. No, I really don't remember. What was that,
So Coach Santoro didn't give you the ball and autograph it and give it to you after the match?
I think it was you, Indy, but no, I don't remember the first goal.
Okay, well, we can't talk about that then. That's good. All right. In fact, I mean, you led the team in scoring your freshman year. You had 15 points, 6 goals, and 3 assists. I bet the upperclassmen were probably pretty glad that you were wearing the red, white, and blue for USI.
Some were, you know.
So you're taking points away from some of your teammates, you're telling me?
Yeah, no, it was all good nature. It was good love.
Okay. Academic, all-conference the first year, too, so that tells me that you had some self-discipline to excel both on the field and in the classroom. So what was just time management, everything else that went into making sure that you took care of yourself academically, I would think?
Yeah, I think when I stepped on campus, I knew it was all on me to make sure that I graduated. And so I knew to play, I had to perform in the class, and to be honest, I just knew that it was all on me. I mean, you're here by yourself in college. I have nobody to blame but myself if I didn't get it done.
So sometime after your freshman year, before your sophomore year began, you started out as a forward. And then your sophomore year, you made that switch to a defender. So can you take us back to that day and that conversation with your coach or whoever? Was that your idea, their idea, that you might be more suited to play and help us on the defense?
It was not my idea. It was Matt's. But I've always been a team player, so I was receptive to it. It was weird because high school I was always a forward, my whole life a forward, goal scorer, and to be a team player, sometimes you have to make those sacrifices.
So despite that, you still got on the score sheet. You know, assist, had some goals and everything else. So the adjustment really wasn't that tough for you, was it?
No, I don't think it was as tough because I think I've always been attack minded even as a defender. So when you have those opportunities to score, it was natural. It wasn't like I was a defender scoring goals. It was like I was a forward playing defense.
So some of your most memorable matches or moments within the USI soccer program?
Number one, I think, for sentimental reasons, was we played an away game at UIndy. So that being my hometown, I had 4 goals in that game. And just to be able to do that in front of my family, I think, was memorable. And then the second was against, I think it was Rockhurst. They were like ranked 16th or something in the nation, and I had a hat trick in that game. So those stick out to me.
Well, what about the match with Illinois Springfield? I mean, you have the school record still, 5 assists in 1 game. I mean, during the course of a game, did you even know that you were accomplishing something pretty special?
I think you're just having fun and enjoying playing the game. You don't think about that stuff. I don't even think I was aware until after the game. Just making the right plays. You find people that are open, you pass them the ball, and then hope that they finish, and it just went my way that day.
Okay, so do you hope one day somebody breaks that record?
There's 2 sides of it, yes. I hope you hope they don't, but you hope they do, because that means hopefully that's leading to success for the program.
Okay, good answer. You covered yourself well. What does induction to the USI Athletic Hall of Fame mean to you?
For me, it's indescribable. I mean, as a kid who grew up where I grew up, I never would have ever imagined, like, okay. I can't imagine it.
So after graduation, kind of where did life take you, and what are you doing now? Where are you living?
After graduation, I had an opportunity to have a stint with Indy 11, played some left back for them, and then met my girlfriend, and we moved to Jacksonville. I've been there for 4 years, Jacksonville, Florida, and coming back to the cold is not
Cold? It's 50 degrees.
No, it's actually warmer today here than it was in Jacksonville. So.
All right. Well, Jeffrey, congratulations on your induction into the USI Athletic Hall of Fame. And here to present Jeffrey is his college coach, Matt Santoro. Our next inductee was born and raised here, started playing soccer at a very young age, and actually played for her college coach when she was 9. She wasn't quite good enough then to play at the collegiate level, but her coach knew at that very young age that she was going to be something pretty special. She was a starter the day she walked onto Straswick Field for the first time as a freshman and was a leader both on and off the field. From an athletic standpoint, a 4-time selection to the All-Region team. She was All-Conference 3 times. And her name remains in the top 5 in USI women's soccer in both goals scored with 23, assists with 22, and points with 68. In the classroom, a 2-time academic All-American, a 4-time selection to the GLVC All-Academic team, and pursuing a medical degree, she was also a leader on campus, a member of several committees, and working with top-level campus leaders to make this university better. Please welcome our next inductee, Dr. Susan Ellsperman. Susan, you started playing soccer at a very young age. Do you remember the first time that you walked onto the field, and what were your thoughts about a bunch of little girls chasing a little round ball?
If you ask my sister, she would say that my soccer career started in the backyard. She used to make me play goalie for her. She was 11 years older than me, so I had to chase her around our own backyard. So that's truly where my career started.
Well, I talked to your coach, college coach, Cris and she told me that she was your coach when you were 9. And she said at that time, she was almost good enough to play at that time for USI. What were some of those early days like, just playing for Coach Engelbrecht at a young age?
I think she's exaggerating a little bit, but she was a great coach. She, I think, really put a lot of effort into developing our whole team when we were that age, which I think is really important as you're coming up through the club programs. And I think really gave us the confidence to play together as a team and to just take risks. And she always had our back. She was always very supportive when we were coming up.
Well, Susan, you attended Memorial High School. We know the great tradition there. You were part of the 2008 state championship team. You had numerous offers to play at the next level. Why did you choose USI?
I think for multiple reasons. I think everyone's already mentioned the family feel here. I knew that after USI, I was going to be still probably in school, and I wanted a chance to come in and play and be on a team where I could make an impact, and also have my family close by. There's a lot of them here. They missed very few games, and that was important to me that they continue to be part of my career.
After a stellar high school career, what were your first impressions of the college game, making that transition from, again, Memorial, a very, very good program. They prepare all of their athletes to go to the next level. Was that transition hard for you, difficult? What kind of things did you have to do to prepare yourself to go from high school to college?
It was a lot more physical. I was on the ground a lot more my freshman year, so I think one of the bigger things was just getting stronger, a lot of time in the weight room and things like that.
Well, you were described as an athlete that was very humble, hardworking, and showed up for practice every single day and always gave 100%. As a student pursuing a biology and pre-med degree here at this institution, Cris said that you never missed a practice, you never missed a game. So with your rigorous academic standards, labs I'm sure that you had to go, how were you able to never ever miss a practice or a game with studying biology and pre-med?
I had to get a little creative. So because our season was in the fall, I stacked as many labs as I could in the spring and just tried to make things work. There were some days where I had like 12 hours of classes, so that way I had fewer during the week. But it was worth it to be with the heart of the team.
Well, when you look back on your 4-year career, making the GLVC tournament 4 straight years, what are some of the cherished memories that you have playing soccer here?
I think the time spent with my teammates, it was just always fun. It was easy to show up and work hard because we had such a great time with it. I think one of my most memorable games was we were playing Northern Kentucky. I think they were ranked in the top 10 here at a home game, and we ended up beating them 3-2. I think that was one of our best games as a team and one that I still remember pretty vividly.
Okay, and obviously your name is sprinkled throughout the record books for women's soccer. Just, maybe a personal moment for you. I mean, it's a team sport, but was there a match, Cris, told me about maybe a match with Wisconsin Parkside? You kind of went through 2 or 3 defenders and scored a goal or something like that, and it was a big goal against a really good team.
I did. If it's the same game that she mentioned, it was a few seconds left in the game, and it was very dramatic because I got a cramp in my hamstring, so I ended up on the ground, and everyone thought I was hurt, and the goal, I didn't know if the ball went in. We ended up winning the game. That might be the one she's referring to. It was memorable, but not necessarily pretty.
So academically, just to be an All-American all those years, not only with what you did on the field, but in the classroom, just talk about the academic All-American status.
I think, as much as we were talking about athletics tonight, I think academics here at USI was phenomenal. I was very well prepared for med school. and really learned a lot here. Really, my time here prepared me very well for that. So I think I'm very fortunate to have found a place where I got to do both and got to do both at a very high level.
And while you were here, you were on the school board of trustees. What was that experience like, just being a student voice among the board of trustees?
It was great. It was a really unique opportunity. I learned a lot about higher education and all the work and dedication that so many people put into making a university run. And I think it gave me a lot of just insights to what a career is like and all the things I had to look forward to after USI. I met a lot of great community leaders that way, and it was a really good experience.
Okay, so biology, pre-med, soccer, and again, I don't care what level, Division I, II, III, NAIA. I mean, when you play college athletics, it's almost a year-round event. You maybe get a couple of weeks off. So with your academics, your athletics, I have to ask you, did you have any fun? Or what did you do for fun?
This was so much fun. This is the best 4 years of my life. It was great. I think, like I mentioned earlier, every time we were with the team, it was fun. I lived with the girls off campus. We had a lot of fun.
So what were you doing when you got the call that you were going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight?
Well, I got a text from John Markall just asking to talk, and I had no idea why he was calling. I thought we had been on a committee not too long ago talking about finances for the university, so I thought maybe it was related to that.
So when he told you about the Hall of Fame, just your initial thoughts?
I was pretty shocked. I was definitely not where I thought the conversation was going.
Okay. So I understand that your studying now is almost done. Mm-hmm. What are you doing today?
So right now I'm doing a fellowship in ear and skull-based surgery in Los Angeles. So I'm finally in my last year of medical training. And
then where, after you get with this final year, where do you hope to be?
I'm not sure yet. That's
okay.
Yeah, a lot of people out there wanting to know that too.
Well, Susan, congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame here tonight. And here to present Susan are her parents, Mike and Melody Ellsperman. Our next inductee was a 5-year member of the men's basketball program and brought with him the desire to do whatever it took to win a basketball game. And he was a member of some teams that won an awful lot of them. He was a key reason why the 2004 team played for the national championship. His smile on the court, especially in pregame warm-ups, was deceiving. He might joke around, talk to the opponents, with more times than not, he was just trying to play mind games with them, because when that ball went up, he was all business. He didn't let his lack of superior height get in the way of his defensive rebounds and keeping the offensive possession alive with rebounds and putbacks. His field goal percentage is still at the top of the record books here, and he's still among the leaders all-time in scoring and rebounding. He was twice named the All-GLVC team, and he was also named to the All-Region team in 2004 after they qualified for the Elite Eight. This guy never shied away from a weight room. And I can attest, traveling with the basketball team back in his day, most people would have a way that they would get loose or get themselves psyched up, a ritual. Well, his ritual was to let everybody off the bus, except for the radio guy, and he'd be in the aisle doing push-ups. Please welcome our next inductee, Will Harris, Billy Harris. I have no idea. Hey. All right, you're from the Carbondale area. Talk about growing up playing basketball there and kind of how your career got you to USI.
Well, I asked for, special people in my life to come, and my uncle over there, Chuck, wave your hands. That's the reason why I started playing basketball. I was telling my best friend Antonio, who used to play here, he used to use me as a cone when I was a kid. And it was one pivotal day in Murfreesboro, Illinois. He just used me as drills, and he just kept berating me over and over and over, telling me I sucked. What was the point of me being here? And it lit a fire under me to want to learn how to play basketball, because I didn't care for basketball until about the 5th grade. But my mission was to beat him. And I was small. I didn't hit a growth spurt until 7th grade, but I made sure I got my lick back when I got older. But if it wasn't for my Uncle Charles, I wouldn't have never played basketball.
All right, so when you took your visit here to USI and you were talking about, leaving high school and your next level, what was it about this program during those years that enticed Billy Harris to come here?
Well, it's a funny story. It is a very funny story about how I got here. Here we go. So after high school, because I was all-state, everything in Illinois, Class AA, top 50 in the nation, I went to a summer camp because I was a late signer. Like, I had originally signed to Eastern Illinois and then rescinded that during the season because I was getting recruited by SLU. I went on a visit to St. Louis with Larry Hughes that used to play there, played in the NBA with Allen Iverson. And so we had a horrible season, ended early in high school in a regional tournament. So I had to go to this camp to play basketball to get recruited. So that day I was there, Bruce Pearl and Rick Curtis was there. And I remember my coach, Coach Miller from Carbondale, came up to me and was like, hey, this is this Division II school. They like the top Division II school in the nation. I want you to have their card. And I looked at Rick and Bruce, and I ripped the card up and threw it on the ground because I didn't want to go to a D2. And that was it. But basically, they were persistent with my coach and convinced me to go on a visit. And it was the visit when I came here. And I was on a visit with former All-American player Derek Lyons and Sharika Shah. And that brotherhood that I built on that visit convinced me to come here. Even though it was a D2, Bruce Pearl convinced me like this was the best D2 in the country, and we were better than a lot of D1s. So from that visit and playing with the team that was already here, DeAndre Givens was going to be a redshirt freshman. I was convinced to come here, and I don't regret it.
All right, so the style of basketball, full court pressure, causing havoc with the opposition, score a bunch of points. Working with Coach Pearl and Coach Curtis during their tenure here, how much time did you spend or want to spend defensively?
Bruce Pearl is a mess. So those teams, the way they coached back then was 5 in, 5 out.
Yeah.
So it's very competitive. So in practice was better than games. And we won a lot of games, but your 5 versus that 5. My freshman year, I wasn't part of the starting 5. So every day you competed against the starting 5. So defense became a thing. And, Pearl would put you down 6 with 2 minutes on the clock, and you have to come back or you run in sprints. So you learn to love defense here with the Screaming Eagles. I didn't want to play defense, but if you wanted to play, you had to play defense. So I think the practices made us who we were, and I love defense.
Well, you had the uncanny ability to just be around the basket offensively, defensively. In fact, you still hold the school record for field goal percentage. How come you were so successful around the basket?
Well, I talked to Stan earlier, but I lost my athletic ability. After my freshman year, a lot of people that know I was an insane high flyer here. My athletic ability was crazy. I tore my ACL, and I had to redshirt, and I had to readjust my game. I came in as a 6'4", 6'5", 185, 90-pound player, and then I became a 220-pound player because if I wanted to play, I had to, become the Charles Barkley type of player. So, that was another thing that Pearl changed. Like, he was so strong. He used to bench 270 pounds. And
Who did? Pearl did?
Pearl did.
Oh,
so
come on.
When you
There's no way.
100, am I lying, Stan? He was that strong.
Oh,
so
my.
if your coach is lifting that, as a player, you want to be strong as well. So it kind of helped me become stronger, because coming out of high school, like, even when I think about some of those high school games against like Mount Vernon and all these strong as an ox players, they were stronger than me, even though I was more athletic. But when I got to college, I started lifting weights, and I became just a beast down low. So even though I was 6'4", 6'5", I could compete against guys 6'9", 6'10", and that helped.
Well, I mean, it certainly did. I can't even begin to think how many times, I mean, you're just down there among those great players in the GLVC at the time, and somehow you're coming down with the ball, putting it back up, and obviously your field goal percentage speaks for itself. In your 5 years here, the team lost 4 home games, never more than 1 a year. What was it about protecting the home court and having so much success here?
The pack. It was nothing like the pack. It's one of the greatest experiences of my life playing here is the students, the pack, Bill, the chicken man. I don't know if he's still around. It was like if we won, we was getting chicken. Like, this ain't the NIL era. This was like free chicken era for all the team. Bill come back there with the box and his little, we putting chicken in towels and running out. People want to take photos. We trying to get out of there. So, yeah, it was just the energy of the pack. I think a lot of these inductees talked about just the family atmosphere here. Like, you just didn't want to lose at home, because usually, maybe not Cris, but us, we was partying afterwards, and we didn't want to go party on a loss. So,
Okay. And the truth is coming out with you. That's great.
Hey, man, this is our funeral, our athletic funeral right here. You might as well just say what you need to say.
I mean, again, I had the distinct honor of traveling with these guys all those years, and I'm just glad that I was in my 30s traveling with those guys, because if I was in my 50s, there was no way I'd be able to keep up with them. All right, back in the day, there was some rivalries. In-state, you had Indianapolis, you had St. Joe, but it was those 2 Kentucky schools that the rivalry was so intense. So what were those weeks like, especially Saturday night games in the Sports Center, Regents Hall, and the Pack?
Listen, that was Duke, North Carolina level of rivalry, especially KWC. You know, Ray, we talked about Ray Harper just a while ago. Like, I've been to some of the biggest games in the country. I've been to the biggest arenas in the country, NBA arenas, and the atmosphere of those rivalry games was insane, especially KWC. And, you know, we traded our licks. They'd beat us. We beat them there. They'd beat us here. They'd break our hearts and, you know, some Elite Eight or some regionals to go to the Elite Eight, and we did the same thing to them. So it was nothing like those games, like nothing. Like, that's – I hope people can experience that type of, like, energy and passion at something in their lives like those rivalry games with those Kentucky teams.
Okay, not many people can say that their last sporting event was for a championship. Your last game as a USI Eagle was in the national championship game out in California. What was that season like for you?
It was an interesting season. You know, it started out, you know, I bumped some head with some coaches at the beginning of the year, you know, hurt us, and you know, I was on a little, you know, hiatus away from the team because I wouldn't run because I got punished. But we was preseason picked to win a championship or like to compete for a national championship. And the thing that I remember most about that team, and I was talking to Stan, I was talking to Hurtis earlier. The thing about the teams that I played for at USI was you couldn't pick who was the best player, because that's just the way the teams were built. One game, Cris may have 20 points. The next game, I may have 20 points. And then John Oden might have 17 points, and I might have 10 points, and Cris might have 13 points. It was like we were a team, a unit trying to get to one goal. And I feel like we took some early losses, and then at the end of the year, we kind of put it together and made that run. It was a memorable run. I feel like Metro State was our title game, and we went into the Kennesaw State game, and we really did not take it serious. And if it was one regret that I had here during the tenure I was here was we did not take that game serious. We literally, I can remember the day before the game, we was in a hotel room watching tape, and Coach was just trying to get us to pay attention. But they had played a team we played early in the year and got smacked. So we was just like, oh, we're going to beat them like, like every other team. We just beat Metro State. They were picked to win the title. And I always, listen, Clarence Chillers, I will never let him live it down. I just remember subbing out at that game. We were up 10-2. I was like, oh, we about to blow this team out. And it was a player on that team named Gregory Joseph. He hit 3 straight threes on Clarence, and we never got the lead back. And I was pissed. I was pissed. But I wouldn't change anything. I definitely wish we would have won a national title because I think we were light years better than that team. And that second half, they just ran away with it. They did not miss anything. But I wouldn't change anything.
So what about having a teammate here tonight with you to be a part of this Hall of Fame class?
Only reason why I came. When they told me Cris Brunson was going in, I had to come because I was in Dubai when I got the email. I live in Dubai. And, it was no better. My national finalist teammate, he was a youngster than me. I used to try to give him the party so much, and he would never.
Good deal, Cris.
Yeah, he was a local kid, good guy, quiet. He just could hit a lot of three-pointers and score a lot of points. But I was very honored, to get the call, and I'm happy that I went in with him.
All right, so how many times, over the years, there have been so many players here that I've had the chance to interview basketball-wise, very, very articulate. This guy here, I still rank him probably at the top, just because he never shied away from a microphone, as you can tell. We would do the weekly Monday show at Taroni's, and every week Curtis would come in and say, well, Billy wanted to be here. Billy wanted to be here. We just can't have him on every week. I am really shocked that I haven't seen you on TV doing something, but talking to you before, you do kind of have a microphone, and you still are involved in the media to some degree.
I've been on a Joe Rogan podcast twice. I guess that's like, I don't think you can get bigger than that. But, my players know, but, when I tore my ACL, I bought a camera at USI. If it wasn't for me tearing my ACL, I don't think I would have the career that I have now because, Bruce Pearl at the time when I redshirted, he told me, I want you to travel with the team even though you got to sit out. Because he just, it's Evansville. What are you going to do in Evansville? So he wanted me to really just be around the team. I'm going to buy a camera and stay around the team. And I filmed everything. For 3 years, I had a camera at USI. And I did not think like, I'm going to have this flourishing film career after USI. You're still young. You still think, I have a chance to play basketball afterwards. But that camera saved me, and it changed my life. And it's given me more than basketball could have ever had. And if it wasn't for me tearing my ACL, I don't think it would have happened. So I'm blessed to have a production company and travel the world and doing a lot of amazing things.
All right, so you probably answered this one question already, but how did playing basketball, going to school here, prepare you for life after basketball? I mean, you talked about getting that camera stuff, but just, being on this campus, being somebody that everybody gravitated to just because of your personality. I mean, that certainly meant a lot to you to be one of the leaders on this campus.
When I graduated, that's why I'm probably here because I have a degree. I think that should be a requirement. But I was scared because I'm from Carbondale, Illinois. She knows it ain't nothing in Carbondale. My grandmother over there, one of her messages she gave me when I left high school to come here was to never come back to Carbondale. So when, I graduated, I did not, I talked to his players earlier, Stan's players, and I said, listen, I'm going in the Hall of Fame tonight, but I could have been a lot better as a player if I would have just did little things coaches told me, if I would have took care of myself, my health, my diet, things like that. So leaving USI, I kind of knew it was over for basketball. Like I knew, yeah, I'm going to attempt to go play. And I did for a couple of years. I went overseas and I attempted to play professional basketball, but I knew with my knee that I wasn't going to have a long post-career. So I was scared. And when I left here, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona with no money. And that was the 5th largest city in America. And I left Carbondale and Evansville to go to Phoenix. And I was just like, how am I going to survive in the real world? And I told this story 1,000 times. But it was that moment, my senior year when I got, preseason All-American here. I was clowning around in practice, and Rick Curtis looked at me in just disappointment. And he just basically was like, soon you're going to get out in the real world and see what life is all about. Like, it ain't easy. It ain't a game. So as the season started to end and we had that disappointment in the national title game, I was just like, damn, I'm about to get out here in the real world. And really getting out in the real world woke me up. But because of the hard work and the ethic that I had playing here, it prepared me to survive out there, and that's what happened.
Well, I tell you, I've certainly enjoyed this. Good seeing you again. Congratulations. Formerly Billy Harris, now Will Harris, in the induction into the Hall of Fame, and here to present Mr. Harris is Antonio Andoval. Our next inductee was born and raised right here in Evansville, was a standout athlete the day he started competing at a very young age. He had a stellar career at Wrights High School and stayed on the west side to enroll at the University of Southern Indiana in 2001. He walked into the physical activity center that first day and took over as the starting guard and stayed that way for the next 4 years. And you will find his name throughout the record book for almost every offensive category. Top 10 in points, games played, free throws made, three-point field goals made, assists, steals. I don't think there is another offensive category in the record book where you won't find his name. He was the GLVC Freshman of the Year, played on 3 NCAA tournament teams, was the most outstanding player in the 2004 Midwest Regional. He was selected to the 2004 Elite 8 All-Tournament team and 3 times named to the All-GLVC team, and he made one of the most important baskets in this program's history. Please welcome our next inductee, Cris Brunson. I feel sorry for you, my friend, following that.
We went 22 years since we've done an interview, Dan.
Yeah, it's been a while. Good to see you. All right, so Cris, you grew up as part of an athletic family. Your older brother, Corey, is here tonight, played here. You played multiple sports growing up. When did you decide to pursue basketball in college?
I always started playing basketball. A lot of it was just getting beat up by those guys. So I just always played, continued to get better over time. Really 6th grade when I started playing a lot, and all the hard work paid off. I was offered a full ride as a sophomore at Wrights to USI, and that's kind of where I got here.
Okay, so graduating from Wrights, like you said, that offer came as a sophomore in high school. So at that time, you're 15, 16 years old. I mean, what was that like for a young man at that age to be offered a scholarship already in college?
I understand it now. Back then, didn't really understand it, but I knew I'd get to play home, it'd be paid for. My family could see me, and then obviously they won a lot of games. So I wanted to play and I wanted to win, and that's how I got here.
So it's not easy to walk into a program, especially USI at that time. I mean, 5-6 years removed from a national championship, back-to-back national championship appearances in 94, 95. So what do you think made the biggest impression for you on the coaching staff to insert you in the starting lineup game one?
I mean, we had a lot of good guys, so just a lot was just the work ethic to get there. But I got the opportunity. It was between me and David Ragland, so I just happened to start off there, and we start off well. I think we traveled freshman to Orlando, so there was just a lot of battles there. But that's where I got the starting role. So,
just as far as your work ethic, mentality of the game, do you feel that also maybe propelled you to convince the coaches that put number 22 in?
yep. Unlike Billy, I was not 6'5" with all the athletic ability. Mine was hard work and hours in the gym and in the weight room. So I think that obviously paid off, and that still carries me through even professional career now. So.
Well, we all know how good the GLVC was back then. What did you learn early on in that season? You talked about opening up kind of on the road in Orlando, and I'm sure you probably walked into I think it was, the Milk House we played in down there in Orlando, and, like, man, this is a long way from Wrights High School. So, I mean, what were those first early games like for you?
I think my earliest was before that, going into my freshman year open gyms. Billy mentioned, I think it was Derek Lyons and Shrika Shai. Here I'm an 18-year-old. Some of these guys are 25, 28 years old, and they got in a fight, and Coach Gerard over broke it up, and I learned quite quickly I'm going to have to man up quite a bit because I was not prepared for that. I mean, they ripped shirts and went after each other, so that was pretty eye-opening for a 18-year-old kid. So
did you ever think, oh my, what am I doing here?
Not what am I doing there, but oh my, I got to figure out who's going to be on my side. Because there was Ronnie Griffin. I mean, just a lot of names, but on the court, all those guys respected you if you could play the game. That's what I loved about it.
So talk about getting word that you were the GLVC Freshman of the Year. I mean, after the year was over, I know you're not a stat guy during the course of the season, but when your freshman year was over, was that something that you thought about? Did the coaches kind of say, hey, you're maybe up for this? And then when you got word, Cris, that you received that honor, what was that like for you?
I didn't know anything about it till they mentioned it. I didn't, had the award. I know it was between me and David Logan, who we played a lot of men's leagues in between the summertime. So it was always between me and him, and he always thought he got it. And I said, well, we won more games, so that's why I got it.
Well, everyone likes to shoot, playing shooting guard on some of those teams with the athletes they have. Did you feel that the older players respected you? Did you feel that you had to earn their respect that freshman year, putting up the threes that you did?
Definitely had to earn the respect. I mean, Ronnie Griffin, Wes Atterbury, Ragland, Billy. I mean, you had to earn the respect, and again, a lot of it for me was just playing. I'd be there before they got there. A lot of these guys they weren't even. Some of them were still sleeping by the time I just got done with part of my workout. So I had to earn it, but they respected that. That was part of the game. So
did you ever wake Billy up and say, "Hey, come rebound for me while I shoot"?
Nah, that wouldn't. Yeah. He was still partying, so I was in the gym still.
Well, you played in a lot of big games against big-time opponents in this league. How did you mentally prepare yourself, Cris? We've talked to some of the other inductees about making that transition, but going up against guys that were 4, 5, 6 years older than you. Physically, you had a lot of confidence. Just mental aspect of this game is so very important. How did you prepare mentally?
Mine's always just from middle school, high school. It was always through just working. I felt anytime I stepped on the court, I may not have been the best player, but mentally I know I outworked everybody. So that just always helped me have the right mindset for each game.
So like Mr. Harris over there, you lost a total of just 3 home games in 4 years. What was so special for you playing in the Pac?
Well, I learned a lot from Coach Gerard and Coach Hurtis. I mean, you had to win home games for your ranking, which I learned freshman year, sophomore year. You want to be home advantage for tournament time. So a lot of that had to come down to that, but you don't lose at home. That's just always what they told you. So that's part of it.
Of all of your records here, I was looking at this the other day, the record book. Your free throw percentage, you are the only basketball player to lead the team in free throw percentage for 4 straight years. And your freshman year, you shot 89% from the foul line, and that was the worst year. The other 3 were above 90%. So that's kind of a lost art today. We see it in basketball. What did you do when you stepped to the line as many times as you did? And I'll say this, I mean, all the years I did USI, you and then the other kid from Wrights, their son, every time you got to the line, I thought, there's no way this ball's not going in. So mentally, what did you do?
Again, same thing. I've shot millions of free throws. I mean, literally probably millions of free throws before practices, before anybody else got there. But I don't want to lose games on the free throw line. You win and lose them, and I wasn't going to be the one that lose them because you missed free throws.
So I said in the intro for you, Cris, that you made one of the biggest baskets in the school's history, and it was 2004. It was up in Romeoville at Lewis University. It was the championship game in the Midwest region. Wayne State, the game was back and forth. USI trailed 68-67 in the final few seconds of the game. You had the ball in your hand. Just talk a little bit about what the coaches said maybe during that final timeout and the play where you scored the winning basket.
I remember before that, I remember turning the ball over a couple of times, so I was a little frustrated. I had to make up for the team, and it was just a breakout, one-on-one type deal. I remember getting the shot off. I don't remember even making it because I was knocked down on the floor thinking I'm going to at least go shoot some free throws, and next thing I know, it actually went in. So I don't remember the entire play all the way, but I'm glad I made it to make up for some turnovers back in.
Well, your teammate, Joe Gordon, made a pretty big basket against Metro State a week or so later in the semifinals. What was that experience like for you going out to California and playing in the Elite Eight in the national championship game?
Just like Billy said, memories, man. It was a long, grinding year. We had just unbelievable talent on that team. Joey's probably one of the best. I still want to talk to guys that play. He's probably one of the best guys I've ever played with. I remember going into that season, he transferred from Miami, Ohio. And I remember I got to step my game up because I don't want to take my spot. And that's D2 versus D1. There's always recruiting over you, so you always got to bring your A game each year. And that definitely was part of the journey, but definitely was an unbelievable run. Unfortunately, we struggled that last game, but definitely memories for sure.
So some of the memorable games, certainly that Wayne State game, but I mean, you played 4 years, gets great competition at the Division II level. Played all over the country, East Coast to West Coast. What would be a couple of memorable games or moments for you?
The traveling, just DeAndre Givens, Wes Atterbury, Ronnie Griffin my freshman year. Really a lot for him. Unfortunately, my senior year, he passed away or actually got murdered, but he was one that just took me under his wings, Billy. So a lot of just those guys. You don't talk to all of them over time, but they definitely affect how you do down the road. So that's some of the most memorable.
Well, you're a consummate team player, Cris, but of the records that you have, your name under so many offensive categories, which one means the most to you?
Well, free throws and wins, because I've shot a lot of free throws. So if I wasn't up here for that, then I'm struggling.
Your reaction when you got word that you were going to be here tonight and be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I was excited about it. Talked to my wife. It's just something for my kids. I go up to the Wrights Bowl, and there's all the Brunsons, my dad, brother, cousin, uncle, grandpa, so they're up there. So at least that way when we come to USI games, I'm up here as well. So it means a lot to me.
So your 4-year average from the free throw line, I figured this out today, was 93%. So if you and I right now would walk out of here and go into the arena, and I'd give you a basketball and stand at the free throw line, how many would you make?
Probably 80% now.
That's pretty doggone. Would you take that? Got any eligibility left?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, congratulations, Cris, on induction to the Hall of Fame. And here to present Cris is his father, Charles Brunson. Soccer was introduced at USI for the men back in 1979, and the rest of the GLVC probably wish that never happened because the Eagles captured the conference championship the first 6 years of their existence. In 1981, the team finished one match under 500 when it went 8-9, but that was still good enough to win the conference championship for the third straight year. And in 1982, well, let's just say that team was almost untouchable. They started out winning 6 of their first 8 matches, and the other 2 ended in a tie. And in those 8 matches, they surrendered just 1 goal. And in the 8th match of that season, they beat Indianapolis 14-0. The 1982 team finished 13-4-2, and one of those 4 losses was 1-0 to Indiana University. And of their 19 matches that year, they recorded 10 shutouts, and the coach at the time, Andy Byrne, was in charge for just 3 seasons, including 1982, and his overall record was 34-18-2, a winning percentage of .648. The 1982 team was also the first men's soccer team at USI to qualify for the NCAA tournament, and in fact was the top seed in the region and lost a heartbreaker at home via penalty kick. One of the members on that team is here tonight. Let's please welcome Mike Bernier. Okay, 1982, what year in school were you? What year?
I was a senior.
Senior?
Fourth year.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was different that year? Obviously, so you started, what would have been the year 79 or 80? 79. Okay, so you came here the year it started. What was the program like just that first year getting off the ground and competing in the GLVC?
Pretty much in shambles. It was quite interesting. I think Terry Schrock was the first coach here, and he was a great individual, but organization was probably not his number one attribute.
So you're in high school, you come over here and, hey, we're going to start a program at Evansville. Any reservations at all about coming to school with a program that was going to launch soccer that first year?
Well, not necessarily, because the academic side was probably more important to me than actually where I landed playing soccer. So that's what drew me to the school.
Okay. What were the strengths of those first teams then? You talked about just kind of, getting the program going, organization maybe not as strong as it needed to be, but as you kind of went through your 4 years here, Mike, did things get better just as far as the overall program and the athletes that were coming in?
Oh, most definitely. And, everybody has growing pains. Obviously, when you're first starting out with a program, there's a lot of newness with that, and it was not derogatory to him by any stretch. He did the best he could under the circumstances, and I think the program grew each year, and ultimately the 4th year was, of course, our best season of all.
Okay, so I read this week that the program really didn't have a true captain until 3 or 4 years after you graduated. So is it just, seniors, juniors were kind of the leaders of the team?
Yeah, that would be accurate. I think we all tried to put the younger people under our wings as they came in, and it was just a succession each year, a lot of growth. As I said, on the field we were fierce. We were the true sense of a team. Off the field, probably not quite as tight of a group, but it didn't matter because when we were on the field, across the lines, on the pitch, winning was everything, and everybody had each other's backs.
So what was the program like? What did Coach Byrne do when he got here, and what was the big difference?
So I think recruiting was the biggest shift. As I joke, the foreigners the first year were from St. Louis, and as the program grew, when Andy got here, we had people from, a young man from Bermuda. We had, I think, 5 Canadians, a kid from New York, a player from England. So quite a diverse group, and huge talent infusion came with that.
What position did you play?
I was sweeper and wing back.
Okay, so that team, you know, the first 8 matches, you allowed like 1 goal. You had 10 shutouts the entire season. Just talk a little bit about that and just kind of getting better each and every week throughout the season.
Well, I mean, it's hard to put it into words because it was such a unique team. You just don't find that chemistry on the field, and everybody was so focused that it was, you expected to win when you went out. You didn't, there was nothing else but that, and we were all very disappointed if we did lose. I think we had a very strong defensive unit, and that kept us in a lot of games and, you know, allowed us the success that we had.
Well, I would say, I mean, 10 shutouts in 19 matches, that's not giving the opposition much of an opportunity to win. So yeah, a lot of emphasis on the defense and the keeper as well. What was it like? Just had to be a thrill playing Indiana University.
Oh, yes. That was a highlight match. They were here. We lost 1.
Oh, they came here?
They came here.
Wow, okay.
1 time, and then they didn't come again.
Probably had a lot to do with that final that night. They only won 1-0. Normally they're, you know, beating everybody 6 and 7-0.
They honestly, they escaped with the win on that one. We outplayed them and hit a couple posts, but it's a memorable match for sure.
Who was the keeper on your team?
Greg Tassios at that time.
Okay. Mike, playing at home in the NCAA tournament had to be a big thrill. Losing on a penalty kick, I have to ask you this. So that was like 42 years ago. Athletes.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah. So athletes, after they're done, there's normally a really good game that they'll never forget, and then maybe a night like that for you guys. To lose on a penalty kick all these years later, do you still think about that game?
I do, yes. It's very difficult. In soccer, if you lose a match and it's even to a regular goal, you don't like to lose, but penalty kicks are painful because it's like the game's been taken from you, if that makes sense.
All right, so this question here. 42 years later,
Thank you for reminding me of that.
you lose on a penalty kick. Was that a good call or a bad call?
Actually, it was a good call.
Really? You'll admit to that?
It was legitimate.
I really envision you saying, hell no.
I can say that, but the truth is it was a legitimate call.
Okay. What was campus like back then? I mean, I know you took a tour today.
Nothing like this, I can tell you.
Yeah. So
Nothing
what was it
this.
like in the early 80s?
So to give you an idea, the athletes all lived in campus apartments. Sorry. Lived in campus apartments. I think the university has since purchased those. Between campus apartments and the back road that leads to the school, now there's dorms, all kinds of fields, whatever, nothing but woods. So it's really, I mean, it's amazing how much this place has grown. If people know where the Long John Silver's is, there was Long John Silver's, Royal Grocery Store, and a bank.
Yeah, it's grown a little bit. What would be a couple of memories for you here?
Well, as I mentioned before, academically, I had 2 people that really influenced me, Mike Denner and Jack Marr, and they were in the pre-med program, and I owe a lot to them for helping me out, as you mentioned about the labs. That was a very difficult go. Those people were very forgiving and helpful in rearranging schedules because it's really tough when you're in a pre-med setting and then trying to take the fun van trips and eating your McDonald's, you know?
Yeah, we were talking, we got to share dinner with you and your family, and, you know, you sit there and you think sometimes, I mean, the charter buses that I was on for, 35 years, and some of those nights get back at 3 and 4 in the morning, and then I'm listening to you, and you guys were in vans. Oh, man.
Vans, and our budget was McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's.
It's gotten a little bit better now. Now it's Arby's. No, just kidding. No, they eat very, very well, I'll tell you that.
An upgrade.
So your reaction when the 1982 team was being inducted?
Well, I thought it was great. Honestly, life's really crazy, so that's not something that you think about. And then when I got the call, I thought that was just a great honor to be bestowed. And I think well-deserved, because to have a program just 4 years old and then to be able to make it into the playoffs and to succeed as we did, I think it was justifiable, but very appreciative.
I have a few years on you, and I was thinking about this, preparing my questions for you. Your teammates, back then, if you wanted to reach out to your teammates or classmates, you were writing letters or making a long-distance phone call. So today it's a little bit different.
It is.
Do you still have any contact with any members of that 82 team?
I have a couple people that are on my cell phone, and again, life kind of gets in the way, so it's not always easy to reach out. I am fortunate to have my college family. We're actually staying with them this weekend, so it's great to reconnect, and lifelong friends, so that's what it's all about. But yeah, and I will take a moment to just thank my wife and my mother and sister who joined us tonight. So
Good for you. We hope you enjoy your weekend here. So just talk about your career after college, and what are you doing these days?
So I went to optometry school when I finished up here and graduated, and then I've had a practice for 34 years. I'm an eye doctor and in St. Louis, so went back to St. Louis.
Okay. Well, Mike, pleasure to have you here with all the inductees, but congratulations on being inducted to the 1982 team. And here to present Mike is his, well, not his coach, but he's the coach now, Matt Santoro.
Thanks a lot.
Well, this will conclude tonight's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. At this time, I would like for all of tonight's inductees to please come forward and line up here in front of the stage, if you would. And I would now ask each of our guests to please stand and give one final ovation to the 2024 University of Southern Indiana Athletic Hall of Fame class.